Start with the invocation by Henry, followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Lord, we come and gather here today and freely recognize that you are the God who created all, and you are still totally in charge of your creation. Lord, we humbly ask that you come today with your guidance in the matters at hand and the business that needs to be done. Lord, help us stand strong against Satan, who comes in here and tries to pit neighbor against neighbor and create chaos. Lord, help us to stand strong in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Lord, we thank you for the blessing of living in Marion County. We thank you for the blessings you bestow on us each day. In Jesus' name I offer this prayer. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Administrative business, Tina?
Okay, I have the minutes from October 21st.
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Okay, we've had a motion to accept the minutes of the October 21st meeting. All those in favor? Aye.
Did you second it?
I second it.
Okay, all right,
Under my breath, I guess.
okay. Sorry, I may have just spaced it
Sorry, I didn't
out.
speak up.
Okay. Sorry about that, it is Monday morning, I haven't had much coffee yet either.
One more coffee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I don't have any other administrative business this morning.
Bryce, you're right on time. Early.
Oh, gosh. That's unusual.
To be early or on time?
No, to not have much administrative
Oh, okay.
business.
Gotcha.
No administrative.
Well, we had a whole bunch on,
Yeah.
at the last meeting, so.
As Meatloaf says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad on the commissioners, so. Kinda like Meatloaf. Yeah. All right, well, I've got some good news. Area fuel bids. I actually got MFA to quote, and we talked with AgriTrails, and they didn't know if they were gonna quote this time. They would be basically weekly, but anyway, so I talked to them.
Good.
And actually it worked out well because in the fuel bids, EPS won area 1 and 3 and MFA got area 2. So like I said, we actually, it was funny because I just went up to them at Tampa and was talking to him about it. He said, well, as a matter of fact, the previous man didn't want to do that, but the new man did, and they were all for it. So,
Good.
so trying to spread the wealth.
Thanks for doing that.
Pretty nice if we could do that all in one block as well. That is, that's good. I like that you're doing that in that. Block would be another one too.
Well, we can talk Burke Camp into getting certified, whatever else, but that's their business.
And I still sing the ham song.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the area fuel bids for area 1 and 3 to EPS in the amount of area 1, $2,926, and area 3, $4,056, and area 2 to MFA Oil in the amount of $4,192.50.
I'll second that.
Moved and second, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, this last week, obviously, Mr. Becker was with us. We met with the Corps of Engineer. They're getting ready to open their bridge across the spillway in the near future. And they want to come back, they've talked to us about our input, want to post that 34,000
34,000.
on registered weight, which means that's what they would be licensed for. Well, they want to extend the life of their bridge, which is great. The problem is by not allowing the heavy loads, and that's registered weight. That's basically going to be a 1-ton pickup with a fifth wheel. It's going to be an empty tractor trailer. And I told them, I said, well, that's great. But I said, now you're going to run all the heavy loads down on our bridge down below. And they were like, oh. So I do have a quick, they brought up the question, it's still posted at 19 ton.
Mm-hmm.
It's, Larry said it's actually got signs for both sides, but I've got a question into Cook Flat and Strobel to see why it was posted at 19 ton. I wouldn't think it would be. I have not heard back. So, but anyway, that is the big issue because they want to start posting signs. They want them to put signs either in the guardrail, or again, it comes down to enforcement. You can put out the sign you want to. If you don't get the enforcement out of it, then so they plan on coming to the commission to basically give a presentation as to what they want to do, and then we'll go from there. Just FYI for you all, see because he was there. So, but anyway, it's kind of, I understand, but I wish I could do that too. I'd post all my bridges at 10 ton and say, hey, you can't go across them or you get a ticket. Well, it's just not reasonable. So, but honestly, I thought it was a pretty good meeting. We talked about a lot of other things too, for communication and stuff.
It's a good meeting, and like you said, enforcement's the issue because we know right away that there's a lot of heavy equipment, especially to the north of the reservoir.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to Rob, and he said the same thing. He said, "Great, put a sign up." They said, "I can't have somebody out there to sit there and enforce it."
The only good thing about that is because they've become used to going the other way.
Well, it's true. Yeah. So, and I mean, that's the other thing is there are other alternatives, but they're going to try to use blacktop roads as much as they can to get back to the highway. If that makes sense.
And Bryce also brought up a good point about maybe at some point making that when you come up to the beginning of the road across the bridge, you have to make a sharp left turn to get back on the road there. And if someday we could figure out a way to kind of ease that turn problem.
Yeah, they make some geometric improvements, but it's down the road a ways. And the Corps of Engineers actually have what they call a FLAP, Federal Lands Access Program or something like that. That they actually have some money that we might be able to use too. So
there is some programs there.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they're supposed to be coming in too. I don't know if it really bring up Diamond Vista at all. We were told last week at the last week's meeting that as of Saturday at 3 p.m., the laydown yard reverted to the landowner, and that basically that's all we heard. Res is going to be moving out, and if anything else needs to be done down the road, then Anella is going to hire somebody else to do it. That's about all we really heard. They did go over some of the stuff, and quite a bit of the stuff has been taken care of that was on the list. The biggest one that we're still looking at is they still have not reprocessed the roads. Now they're saying it was agreed to regrade the roads, but we have documentation otherwise that says reprocess the road. So again, they're really throwing Mark under the bus out there saying that, oh no, that's not what we agreed to. So
what would reprocess involve other than reblading?
What we had talked about and agreed to back with Mark was we didn't want to leave all that excess rock on there. If we could incorporate that into the base, make make that base a little better, then we could determine what and how much we wanted to put on for surfacing material. So they would go in there and rip it up, even just an inch or two deep, put water, blades, whatever else, recompact it. When they're done, we don't have great roads. Because right now we've got extra material out there. We don't have the 3% cross slope minimum that was called for. In some places we do, but not all the way. So again, that's where they're saying that they didn't agree to totally reprocess the road. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, we constantly, now that Res is leaving and they're going to turn around and hire somebody else, I don't know. As far as the post-construction review, what the commission thinks as should we go back and do the post-construction review without reworking the roads, because I guess that's something, even reblading the roads is still going to take them several days or several weeks, depending on the equipment they have. So.
They haven't replaced all the culverts yet either, and they
That-
haven't addressed the water that they redirected, they haven't addressed that, so I mean, it's not just blading the road.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
lot.
there's, and I mean, that's what we've talked about, and obviously working with Sharon, because she still has the floodplain permits and stuff to deal with, and I know Kirk and Michael was up there, and they were working on some of that stuff. I haven't been up there since the meeting to check that out, but I am heading up there today to kind of check things over. So,
Well, the money that we have in reserve expires December 31st. Tina, are you or anybody talking about starting the process? I know you need the post-construction because then Tanner will give you the cost or an estimated cost of what it will cost to go ahead and repair those roads that they left unfinished. And then to do the process and to tap into that money that we have in reserve.
That's a legal process to be able to do that. You would have to say that they violated their contract. So that's not something that you would have me
Okay,
do.
so that's not something that you're gonna get involved in.
No, you would want your attorney to contact them because you would have to establish that there's been a breach.
Well, that's what I just said, that Tanner would do that, and he's ready to do that, to start that, that's that post-construction. That's what that will entail, and then he'll give the list of the cost, estimated cost of what it would cost. for
Right,
to
the
come
way
back
that
in and finish it.
The way that that bond works, for us to be able to utilize that, I mean, yes, there would be post-construction inspection, and then Kirk and Michael would give them a list. If they do not do that list, that's when we would have to have an attorney say, you are in breach of your agreement, we will be drawing on your letter of credit.
Okay,
That would
so-
be the process for that.
Okay, I got that, but what I'm concerned about is that letter of credit actually expires December 31st. So,
Again.
and I know we need to get Tanner on that, because he's more concerned about under the bridges and under the culverts and stuff, rather than just what you see on road surface.
Mhm.
And that's where your big money comes, when you see under the bridges and things like that, to what damages may have taken place there. So I'm just wondering, are we, I'll ask you, are
Well,
we
just-
starting that? I know
Well-
you have 30 days.
We have 30 days, and of course, that's the other thing, it doesn't say it needs to be started within 30 days, doesn't say whether it has to be, it just says within 30 days, there's a post-construction, you know.
Okay.
So I guess that's, based on what you're saying, I guess that's, Commissioner Becker, are you okay with us proceeding with the post-construction review as it is now, and then we can find out what that is?
Well, I think that's
Yeah.
the logical thing to do,
Okay.
because then we can determine a monetary cost
Mhm.
for those fixes.
Okay?
And
May I
if-
make a suggestion also?
Okay,
If you don't want me to, I won't.
no,
but,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it would probably be a good idea to, and if you don't want to use Pat Hughes, it's fine, but that is your attorney on that project. Have your attorney contact their attorney to get an extension, to have them extend that bond since they're not done. Because then if they do go over the, if I can't imagine the post-construction inspection is going to be quick. And so I think you should have your safeguard in place. And that's going to take an attorney to contact their attorney, an attorney-to-attorney contact to have them extend their bond.
Well, I know Tanner wanted to be here today to address that. And so he would have been able to answer those questions had he been here and he was available, but.
And I think Tina's got a good point, because say we do get the post-construction review done in 30 days, whatever else, we send them back the list. Well, just saying, they start dragging this out and they get past the December 31st and said, we're done, you can't go back on this anymore. I think that's what
Right,
she
I
said.
really think that you need to have an attorney contact them and tell them that they are required to renew their bond for another 3 months.
Or will,
Or, yeah, a period of time. And I can contact your current attorney immediately to have that done, if you would like.
And I also think that we should, 'cause I know Tanner's ready to start on that post-construction.
Yeah, we've kind of been in limbo, that's why I
Right,
was asking.
so
so.
he is ready to do that.
Yep.
Because he also feels like I do that, I don't know, we're at the mercy of them extending that. We are at their mercy if they're gonna extend it.
Can we determine through a post-audit a monetary cost?
What we would do is,
Approximate,
based on the stuff that is left, we can turn around and we can get basically what they call blue book rates, which are state and or federally adjusted rates for all those different operations, determine approximately what it would take hour-wise, equipment-wise, whatever else to do all this stuff. And yeah, then you would come up with an approximate rate. What's good about the blue book rates is they're accepted basically state and regional wide, so that there's no question, oh, that's too much for that or it's too much for that. So yeah, we could determine that. It would just take a matter of figuring that out.
So if we did that through our attorney or whatever we need to do, could we just say, we'll settle for this and you leave?
That's up to you. That's up to you and your attorneys.
But we don't want to do that till we get the post-construction from.
That's what you
Well,
said.
yeah, I'm saying, after we get if we get a
Figure that
post-construction,
dollar
and
value.
can determine a monetary cost to do that, just say, hey, we'll just settle for this, and you're done.
Well, based on what happened in Clark County, that's not the way that worked. Because this company did the same thing in Clark County, and they had a $2 million bond up. Well, they put in for something like $1.5 million worth of damage, and of course the company fought them. And so they settled for what, 700 or 750,000? Because you're gonna get into a battle of settling, because they're not gonna just freely give you what you say they want. Because in the contracts, they have this wonderful glitch all the way. Reasonable cost is what they pay. And our reasonable and their reasonable are two different reasonables.
Yeah, but if you have a determined cost that is a documented,
Well,
But you're gonna get that determined cost from what they consider an unreasonable
Well, and-
engineering firm.
And that's where it's gonna come down to the fact is, once you determine that objective cost, like I said, it's objective, well, objective as far as the cost, now whatever else is, unfortunately, now you're gonna leave it up to the attorneys. But I don't know, again, how far you want to push it. I would love to say that they were just gonna fix everything, but, we're still dealing with the issue that says, well, since we need to use those haul roads, we don't have to fix them up. Well, nothing's said in the RMA about that either. And so again, they're very, very good about finding the gray areas or the questions and pertain to that. But I mean, all things considered, I think we'll get started with the post-construction review. If you contact the attorney about extending that, at least that's our start. And then, we've got basically a little bit of time to.
because I mean, in the end, it'd be nice if we just had the dollars to do it rather than, well, are they doing anything up there? Is there anybody even around, or?
Well, and the other good thing about it too is that, Kirk and Michael has places to go to with their guys. That's one less expense we would have up there doing that. We could, whether we determine to do it our own selves or we hire somebody else. I mean, in the wintertime, if it's still reasonable, we could probably find some contractors very reasonably to try to do some of that work. Because I don't think it's gonna take a lot of work. It's just gonna take some equipment being out there doing the work.
There's culverts, there's a lot of culverts, that's gonna be quite a
The
bit over there.
the post-construction view, I really don't foresee hardly any problem with the culverts or stuff like that.
Oh, I
No,
do.
well, there's a couple main issues, but I mean, you consider what they've done with all the other culverts and everything else, that, I don't think that's gonna be as big a deal as, I mean, considering, all the stuff they've done out there all the way across there. But there will be those issues that come up, and maybe there is more damage out there, but, we'll still know when it comes to post-construction review and then go from there, so.
I mean, I'd just like to get to the point where we got them out of the equation, whatever that's gonna take.
Well, I think the best thing, the first thing to do is to contact Tanner and have him start that
Well,
process as soon as he possibly
Sure.
can.
Yeah.
And I think he would get on it pretty quick.
Yeah.
So the consensus of what I'm hearing of the board is to proceed with a post-construction review.
Right.
Okay.
Do we need a motion on that?
A consensus is okay as far
Okay.
as,
Yeah, because it's already set up in the.
Well, I mean, it's part of
Now-
the agreement.
okay, so then the other part of that is, do you want me to contact the attorney to see about having them extend their time frame for their bonds since they are not done? I think we can require them to do that.
Yeah, all things considered, that only leaves you 2 months, and that may take some time. So I guess my recommendation would be to probably look at it, at least get the process started.
Which attorney?
This year, they're recommending Pat Hughes.
Well, he's the
Who was
attorney
the-
that
who
drafted
was
all
the
your
attorney on
documents.
this
He's
one?
been
He's
on
one
it the
that
whole
drafted
time.
all the documents, and so that's why we're in the pickle we're in, because they're not, there's too many loopholes. So,
I would be in favor of going ahead and going that route.
because
You know, since we have to get there.
don't have much choice at this point in time.
Okay, so consensus is to go ahead
Yep.
and contact the attorney to get them to extend, renew their bond. Okay.
How long do you think? 60, 90 days?
I wish I could speculate between
Should
now
we
and
just
then.
go for
what the-
90 days?
Well, I think
again,
that would be something they would determine through Kirk and
Yeah,
Michael.
Okay.
We
yeah,
shouldn't
because I mean,
speculate.
it's gonna depend on what they encounter with post-construction review, it depends on, weather between now and then.
Well, that's
Obviously,
true.
we went from
Yeah.
fall basically to almost a winter already, so I'd love to speculate, but, you know, but at least gets the process, or they could also say, we'll extend it for X time, and then subject to more extension based on both sides agreeing to. I mean, you know, it's one of those things.
Well, let's just
Okay.
let's get it going.
Yep.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Hope we get those extensions. I don't have much faith in that, but I hope we get
Well,
them.
that's what
I'm
they're
just saying, I
saying.
hope we do.
And if they don't want to extend it, they can pay us.
If they don't want to
Yeah,
spend it, they ain't gonna pay us.
if they don't extend it, then that moves up your timeline as far as taking action against
Yes.
them. You would have to say, you would have to look to declare them a breach of contract much quicker and then just go for the bond.
Yeah.
They haven't said that.
Um,
It's just- There was a suggestion that they did.
Being what it is, so. I was looking on Purple Wave equipment, and I happened to find a flail mower, like we were talking about buying for the back of the tractor, you know, that has the blades that, doing our county roads. I guess, based on what we looked at before, they were talking probably $10,000-12,000 for a new one, and it may take quite a while to get if they're imported or whatever else. This one on Purple Wave, the people, it's a suburb over by Independence, Missouri, that have it. They didn't like the way it was hooked up. The guys didn't use a lot, so that's why they're selling it. It's currently at $850, but I guess I would like permission from the commission to bid on it up to a certain amount of money. I think we could get the used one cheaper than we could a new one, just to make sure it's going to work for us. And then if we determine that down the road, we can go with a new one or whatever else. It's also close, and the fact is within 3 hours of getting that. Like I said, new one, they're talking $10,000-12,000, I think. I mean, I don't know, I guess permission from the commission to
We have
do
somebody
that.
look at it to see what.
We will go look at it just to make sure we get to that point. Obviously, I don't want to buy something that, he said it was only used for a year, so that's something to look at. But I think buying it that way, and I've got some money left over in the equipment fund to cover that, plus the sell the other skid steer to do that. So I guess,
What do you think? How much do you need to?
I don't know. I mean, I would think really being used, and everybody else, and not a lot of people are using them. I would say, I don't know, $6,000 at max. I mean, I wouldn't want to go much more than that for a used piece of equipment, but I just want to keep watch on it.
And it'll work for us when it doesn't work for other people.
Well, let's put it this way. They're a suburb of Independence. They don't have near the roads and stuff like that to use something like that where we did. Like I said, the one we tried out, the guys really liked. So
That's a tractor driven.
PTO driven on the back of the tractor, and it's one of those that swings clear out behind the tractor, so we wouldn't be driving the tractor in the ditch like we are now.
Well, it would be handy, especially with the sunflower type problem.
We've
when
got,
we get
and the
ditches.
other thing is we're to the point now, we've got to go out and basically hit all the major east-west routes for drifting. So it's just something else could help us too, but like everything else, we just got to get the equipment out there and get it done, so. But I think this would help immensely if it works the way we saw it work and the way it's planned. So,
I would have no problem with it.
As long as you got the budget.
yeah, up to, you okay with $6,000?
Yeah, go ahead, you got the money for it.
Okay, like I said, I'll keep you updated as to what, and obviously too, if we go look at it and it's not worth it, we obviously will not go that way, because I want to have some decent stuff, so. Didn't know if you guys were aware of it, but Wednesday, KDOT has their fall meeting at the Junction City Convention Center. They basically talked about the future of, if there was anything else, I think you guys would attend. I thought about attending, but I don't know. I went to the first one up in Salina and hope, I mean, it'll be the same thing, but,
Mostly an information type gathering.
yep, they basically talk about what they're trying to do with monies and taxes and stuff like that. And of course, they're talking 10, 20 years in the future, what they see between now and then. Well, the big thing comes down like everybody else is, are they going to continue they get to get their sales tax transfers as well as highway fund money and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's good to talk about the planning, to get stuff out there. The other thing is they like to hear from specific projects, like one was extending the airport at Concordia, stuff like that, so unique projects. But
How's KDOT involved with that?
it's local money, administering federal money. The airport money comes in through KDOT. So yeah, they administer the federal money for airports and stuff like that. Plus, there's all sorts of urban grants and stuff like that all comes through KDOT. So it's just the idea for some people that want to give a presentation to a lot of the advisory, highway commission people can be there and locals. But anyway, like I said, just if you wanted to go, it's available. But
So even local small airports like Marion Hillsborough can utilize federal money for?
They're like everybody else. You go after it's just like we talked about the cost share money. There's this little pot of money, and you've got the behemoth that wants it. And if you get a project done, I'm still waiting to hear back all of our stuff too. But maybe, like I said, I'm sure they received several $100 million worth of requests. So, but other than that, I think that's it. Unless you guys have any questions. We're rebuilding some roads. We've got really good comments. 1/10 down there on Wagon Wheel. Numerous people love that. We're rocking Indigo from 360 to 370th, and we also, there was a half-mile south there that was still dirt. We said while we're there, we're just going to go ahead and fix up the ditches. We're going to rock right on through. That way it'll be a rock road all the way from 330th clear up to the county line. So.
Still gonna try to do some cold patching on Nighthawk?
They were gonna work on it today, probably work on it tomorrow. It's gonna be a battle all winter time, but we did get a load of our super fast material to go down there, so hopefully that'll stay as well as anything. So.
Cause that road's turning in from Nighthawk to Nightmare.
Don't go there anyway, so.
On 330th, I see you've done some cold patching on there too, or patching because
Right.
some of those massive.
Yep.
So did you get all that information now that you needed
Yes.
from that
Yeah,
plan?
that was submitted in last week.
Okay.
We also received a request from the Sheriff's Department. They did a police report on, they broke the windshield. One of our guys was driving down the road. He has his load tarped. Was accused of rock coming out there and breaking the windshield. According to K-Camp, as long as we were driving down the road with the road tarped, we are not liable for those. So that's with K-Camp to discuss that. So we'll see what happens. But all we can really do is turn in the information and investigate on our part.
So we had those before.
And it's a very, it's a tough situation on whether it did or not, but they said, that rock may not come out of our load, it could have come off the road, it was already there and got thrown out, so. But anyway, so we'll deal with that, but yeah, we got the other one, so. Anything else? Okay.
Thank
Hey
you.
Bryce, I'm around the county lake on the west side there. I seen a bunch of damage the other day on that. Yeah.
Coming down, Timber?
Well, it's, yeah.
On the west side of the,
Yeah.
I've seen that too, we'll try to get at it too.
I wonder what's, looked like, I drive down there, went that way and, till here recently, it looked like somebody tore it up. So.
Well, it's like anything else, you're talking about this
That
much asphalt on a base that's wet, and, it's a constant battle.
But it's every little place,
Yeah.
I guess I've seen it, so I
Well, just
looked
like-
like a farm machine or something got to me, I don't know.
It's.
Every harvest season does that to those type of.
Well,
roads.
and I actually had a call in about Holly South and 90th, and we put up the bridges require type 3 object markers, the black and yellow hashes. Well, it's only 16 feet wide bridge. Well, I can't get across with my duals. I can't get across with my combine. It's not made that. But can we move the type 3s out? No, because we have to mark the crossover. So they got run over, so we have to go back and replace them. But the other biggest thing is it's a 3-ton bridge, and you can't take a fully loaded 1-ton truck across there and get underneath 6,000 pounds. So it's just an issue that needs to be replaced down the road, and we just trying to find the resources and stuff to get to it. But it's the same thing. All new road, we did all that blade patching down there, we've lost some of that too, and there's just, moisture content in that base is just crazy, you know, so. But we'll have the same issue next spring, if that ground freezes and comes back and starts thawing, we'll have the same thing too, so. But I wish there was a immediate, quick, affordable fix, and we'd go out and do it.
Like I said, it just started happening. So.
Sure. Yeah, I know, and we're still trying to rebuild some more rock roads before that gets killer like that in winter time, but nobody knows when that is too.
Are you staying on top of the requests that come in pretty?
Oh, yeah, we put them on the tickler, and honestly, we haven't been receiving much because we're finally getting back to hauling rock and stuff after doing blade patching, and that helped immensely. Because
Well, there's one comment people call me and I say, well, did you put in a request? Well, a year ago.
Well, and I mean, that's, if that's true, I mean, I understand if you call in, it hasn't been got there. I can only deal from June 4th up until now, and I can tell you right now, we've been very, very aggressive going after these calls and trying to get people, the biggest thing is calling these people back. Just tell them what's going on, we'll try to be there, this is what we got to do. Now that we've got Steve off the distributor, we're actually talking about splitting up the culvert crew 2 and 2. Have 2 backhoes going to take care of culverts and stuff, digging out ditches, stuff like that. So essentially, you get twice as much work done as we did before. So that's everything we're looking at. So, all right.
Thank you, Brinks. Deidre here.
Yep, she's here.
Good morning, Deidre.
Well, I actually do have, I guess you're the lucky one.
Oh, thank you. I
You're a lifesaver.
It's a little things in life.
It is a little thing.
Here's
Oh. Did you get a nice little?
okay. Probably the biggest news in our office right now is that the flu vaccine, we had a little problem with the shipping the manufacturer did, and so all over they've had kind of a shortage on especially the high dose. The high dose is for people over 65, it's 4 times the antigen as the standard dose. So those people we've had to reschedule. We've had Marion Senior Center, I think it was, we rescheduled for the 3rd time. So we will be, I got an email this morning that we will be getting our final shipment in by the end of the day tomorrow. So we will be able to go to the senior center and then the assisted living also. I know some of the people over 65 have gone ahead and got the standard dose elsewhere. I think we've probably lost some of our clientele that normally would come to us. They've gone elsewhere to get them if they could find them, or they've just chosen to get the standard dose of vaccine. We did have, when we had the vaccine in, we had a really good turnout, and we've had a lot of calls. We do have a list of people that we're calling back. We also did have a little bit of a problem. The shipping, we order from Sanofi, and they had like a 2-week delay. So places were only getting 25% of their shipment, and then several weeks later, 25% of the shipment. So that's what's kind of caused the problem or the delay. Anytime, and of course, anytime the media gets a hold of, a shortage or something, that tends to bring phone calls into our office, and people want to get it as soon as possible. And that's just
how it goes. So I know last week I did try to call because we had people scheduled for certain formulations of the vaccine and Harvey County, and they were out. Normally, if I call Harvey County, like we're actually gonna borrow a VFC vaccine from them for Wednesday. You know, we've been really good, had a good relationship with the health department there in, you know, borrowing vaccine and then replacing it if we need it. So, by the end of this month though, we should, well, by the end of Thursday, we should have all our outside clinics done. We will still be giving the vaccine, of course, at the health department, and hopefully we'll put something in the paper also that we have that vaccine available. So that's what most of our October. However, we have had the schools now have, kids are needing to get their immunizations. They have a certain number of days once school starts to get all the required immunizations. So we've done a lot of kids who kind of waited till the deadline to get vaccinations. So we've done that also. As you can see, Jess, right now she is helping to plan and organize the health fair. It's St. Luke is basically the people in charge of it, or the entity in charge of it this year, but Jess is taking on a lot of, I think we're gonna try and keep the advertising and some of the like client or the vendor registrations with one person, so we have a continuity there. And Jess is busy working on that because the health fair is Saturday from 8 to 11. And they were wondering if the commissioners could be part of that, like if someone would want to come at 8:30 for about 45 minutes, then someone at 9:15, and then again at 10 for 45 minutes too. I know in the past we've had you all come and kind of take turns. If that's something that you would like to do, let me know and we can work that out. We will again be giving prizes. We've had some vendors willing to donate stuff, and Jess has called around some local businesses and entities have donated prizes to give away for that too.
That's this Saturday.
It's this coming Saturday.
Is it at the school?
It will be at the Marion Aquatic Center.
Yeah.
So-
I can do it early.
Okay, do you want 8:30 to 9:15?
Yeah.
Would that work?
See, I'd have to do it early also.
Okay, so do you want, is 9:15 to,
I'll take 9:15.
okay. And then maybe Randy can, I'll get in touch with him and see if he can't be there. So, we did have, I wanted to point out, we had a Bethel College nursing student that spent 6 sessions with us, the health department. We do have an agreement with Tabor College and Bethel College for their nursing department for students to do their like public health rotation with us. And that's always, I feel like it's kind of a big eye opener for them. They don't always realize what all we do there, and they also don't realize the administration part that goes on with that. The Safe Kids, Erin Hine is our Safe Kids coordinator. She did the Bucks for Buckles in Hillsborough again, and in Marion, and in Marion, Dwayne McCarty and Clinton Jeffrey helped out, and then in Hillsborough, police officers Jesse Hebert and David Funk helped out with that. today she is at the Marion Schools doing bike safety with Dwayne McCarty. So she is also currently writing for an injury prevention grant, which she will be focusing on safe sleep, possibly providing she gets the grant, be able to purchase some carbon monoxide detectors and some baby bath thermometers, and then some bike helmets for bike safety. So, do you have any questions?
Sounds like you're busy.
Yeah, this is kind of our busy time.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Janine available?
Let me go check. I don't see her out there.
But they have to extend the bond in order to all this figure out. So.
Yeah.
Janine's not here.
She's not here? Is anyone gonna fill in for her? No.
Would you like me to bring someone over?
I don't know, does the deputy usually take over when Janine's?
She can come over if you have questions. The personal property coordinator can come over if you have questions. Because I think that one of the things that I had mentioned to Janine when she came to do her next report was that you were wanting to know about set-off program and different options for collecting delinquent personal property. So I don't know if any of the staff is prepared to present any of that information.
I wouldn't think so. I'd rather just talk to Janine. If she's not here, she's not here.
Okay.
Guess we'll have to reschedule with her.
Okay.
That was quick. And that's the last thing on the agenda, so we'll open it up to public comment.
It's
When
cold.
everybody speak at once.
Cold outside.
Anyone?
It's
He
cold
was
outside.
here before me.
Oh,
You were too.
It's all right. We're all here together.
Okay, okay.
This is a
I'll go then.
convivial
Go ahead,
atmosphere.
go ahead.
I'll get my temperature down.
Name, please.
My name is Junette Bilby. My husband Philip, he works for the John Deere store here Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we exhausted our research in trying to find a home up in Dickinson County, so we searched here. The only little small acres that you could have is out by the lake. I had been into the planning and zoning before with this little small acres. Curie Real Estate represented this acres. And I went there and I said, is this large enough to have a horse on? Because I hear you gotta have 3 acres to have a horse on. It's like 2.98. Okay. She said, yeah, no problem. Okay, so in this process, the real estate agent made us aware, there's a big public turnaround in this thing, and you can see it, it's in the fence line. They call it the fire turnaround. And, it's never been used. There's only one other house at the end of Rose Lane. Okay, this address is 1770 Rose Lane. Okay, the Tolans live to the west of this property. It was their property. They sold it off. They're elderly. They can't take care of it anymore. It is in the plat. The plat was not shown in the sale of this property. It's all full of easements, and there's a pond on it. There's no water in the pond, it's a slurry. I'm not keeping the pond, okay? But the pond is not in the plat, but a spillway is in the plat, okay? And these easements appear, that didn't appear in the sale of this land when they represented the land, okay? So, I have a horse, I've had this horse almost all his life, he's 26 now. During all this process, thinking Sharon of the Planning and Zoning is getting this prepared to go to the commission, to go publicly, to get that big turnaround, public turnaround off of there, or you don't even have room to put a house, a garage, and a barn out there, okay? Wherever I go, my animals are my kids. I never had human kids, but my dad was showman for cattle. So we lived in a barn, okay, there all the time. Not to say we did have a house, but we were at the barn with my dad. Animals are important to me. That lady at Planning and Zoning, Sharon, she refuses us to let us have a shelter brought in. It's a portable open shed shelter for the horse and the dog. She said, it's too bad your horse has to stand out in the cold, the bitter cold weather that's coming. Who would even say that to anybody? I want that shed out there and I want it now. It's supposed to be delivered today. We postponed it because of that issue with that lady. There's other people that built sheds out there, she said, and don't put their house up. Well, that's not my problem. That was not our intention. That's our home site. We're not gonna go anywhere else. We're not from anywhere else. We bought that for a home site. But my animals came down here. They've been down there 2 days now. Okay, we prepared the fence. I called Mr. Sherwood, our neighbor, said, I can see where your fence has been pushed, but we put fence there, and we're sharing your fence for now until we can get down here and drill in this rocky ground to put our post in. Now, I'm gonna have that shed put on that property. Am I asking for your permission? Yes, I want to be cooperative here. We're new in this county. Oh, and then this gets thrown in our face with this lady over here. She knew all along our intention. She said it was big enough. And then she comes back and she said, well, I thought you meant any acres out by the lake. Well, there's no more to sell. That's the only acres out there, so why would she say that for? She's incompetent in that job. She is kind of like, she needs a counter. So when she hears people wanting to do certain things, she'll step up and say, hey, you know, sweetheart, before you even move animals out there, before you even think about buying this place has easements all over the place, there's a pond, you gotta keep the pond, and before we purchase this, she should say that. She shouldn't step back and sit at that desk and let the little guy come up, and he don't know much, and he admits he don't know much, and then the other girl that works there, she don't know much. And then Sharon went through tragedy of a car wreck, her mother died. We all do that, but the show goes on by somebody. Somebody has to fill in for her. Now she said, it's gonna take 6 weeks to start this. Honey, this should be done by the end of October, when it should have been started by you. And if you have all these issues, you should have come up to the counter before we even purchased this land and said that, whoa, baby, hold that horsey. You're not moving no horse out there. But he's already out there, and he said, my dog is in a kennel out there. That's our property, we bought it. They're gonna have shelter, or I'm gonna call the Humane Society, and my friend is the president of the Kansas chapters, and I'm gonna say, Marion County won't let me put my portable shed out there for my horse. This land has issues now. The title insurance company, I'm marching right over there to see Roger as soon as I'm done here, and he knows I'm coming. You know, there's a combination of people here that has a hood over their head that don't step up and take their position and say, you know, I wouldn't have minded if they told me, hey, wait, you know, if you build out there, you're gonna have to put your house out there first. Well, for us, that don't work for us because we're rancher kids. We grew up on ranches, we treat our animals, they come first in our life, like old homesteaders. You prepare for the cattle and all that before you even think about your house. So you live in whatever it takes. And I may spend some nights out there. I slept in the barn 2 weeks at a time with my horse because somebody was harassing him in Pratt County. A horse got his teeth knocked out by somebody in Pratt County in play of the sheriff. Oh, that didn't happen. Nobody out there will say that happened. Now, see, I got a beef with, I'm changing the laws in Kansas over sheriffs. We need state police. We don't have them. Kansas and Alabama are the only states that don't have state police. I've called Marion, talked to Deputy Shipman. I've told him the history of Pratt County, and by the Humane Society, they're wicked counties. Pratt and Dickinson. Now, they got greyhounds. They killed our cat at Pratt with a greyhound dog. Okay? I got 2 kids left. I called your county. I'm gonna talk to your sheriff today too. I'm gonna tell him all the things that's happened. They're still attacking this horse up in Dickinson County. The sheriff there arrested me for calling in the neighbor kid having 30 pellet wounds on my horse. Because it's a nuisance to me. Now, besides all that, do I have permission? And I wanna know what you did to all them other people, because there's a red shed now on the market out there for like 30,000 on a 0.3 acres. Wasn't big enough for us to buy it. I wouldn't pay the guy 30,000 for a little red shanty shack on 0.3 acres. So, he's got a shed out there. What'd you do to him? I wanna know what's happened to all these people that have a shed out there and they don't have a house out there. Because my portable shed's coming in. What are you gonna do to me? Are you gonna fine me? My husband said, you find out, because you're paying for this. I'll pay for it. My horse needs shelter. He's 26 years old.
Well, Sharon's here. Sharon, you wanna explain the procedure that you've been through on
So the lake lots are platted. They require primary structure like a residence before we can permit an accessory structure.
So what did you do to the people that just have a shed out there? You got issues with that. What'd you do to them?
I'm not sure which shed you're talking about.
Well, there's a red shed out there. I don't know, that's what your planning and zoning mentioned to me. There's sheds out there that there's no houses on. There's a red shed now on the market out at the lake. It's for sale. It's on 0.30 acres for like 37,000. What'd you do to that guy?
Another house. They split the lot. I think that's the one. It's way out on the east side.
Okay. I'm not sure what the situation is with that one. It may have been that shed may have been on the lot before zoning came into effect. It may have been a totally different situation. I have no idea. I'm sorry, I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, are there any others out there without a house?
Okay, so right now our current zoning regulations state that you cannot have an accessory structure permitted without a primary structure on the.
Well, see, I've been to your office several times, so you should come up to that desk and say, okay, sweetheart, you can't put a shed out. We won't allow that, so these lots aren't for you. Don't put your horse out there. You can't do that.
I spoke with your husband about that shed and let him know that I couldn't.
He wasn't the first one that came there. I've been to your office several times.
Okay.
And your 2 assistants have talked to me. Now, whether they don't relay things onto you, I don't know. But see, this is already the end of October, and this passing through the public and sign off should have already almost be finalized. And you said it hadn't even started. It takes 6 weeks, so why'd you put it off this long for?
Are you talking about a street vacation? That's a totally separate issue.
No, that's the issue we're talking about, because you can't put a house up there and a barn and a garage. You gotta have that vacated out there. That little lot ain't worth buzz.
Ma'am, I'm not sure what to tell you. You've requested a street vacation and that does take about 6 weeks.
But it should be done by now. You should have started that. And when I've gone in there before and asked that kid, what kind of money do you want up?
That goes through a public hearing process.
Right.
So our planning commission meets again on December 5th or December.
Why do we
6th?
have to wait till December? We are people wanting to buy the property. You gotta move things forward, babe. You can't wait till December, then they have a meeting.
From my understanding, you didn't own the property when you came in and asked about a street vacation.
That's right. We wanted to find out if this was possible first, or you don't have room out there.
We can't accept a vacation petition from someone other than a landowner.
Well, then through Huey Real Estate, I had asked Mr. Christensen, about the Tolans. Well, was it started by them or not?
No.
Well, then shortly thereafter, I came into the office then, and I knew that it wasn't started by them, and I was gonna give this in motion. So why wasn't it started by now? Now you're putting it off 6 weeks. 6 more
I
weeks.
believe that application for the street vacation that was turned in, it was by you or your husband potentially, came in after the publication had taken place for the regularly scheduled meeting. And so the next regularly scheduled meeting for it to be addressed at, which I'm sure it is scheduled for, would be the December meeting. It goes through the planning commission, and then after they review it, then it comes to this board. So this is one that several departments have been involved in, and Bryce mentioned it months ago, that there was some discussion happening about it. I believe that the vacation request was submitted a couple of weeks ago there's a turnaround space that's platted, and in order to be buildable, and this has been shared multiple times with the property owners, that it would need to be vacated, and then the vacated portion, part of it would go back to the county, and so there would be an additional process where if they would have to request that the county deed over our portion of that vacated roadway. So it's a process. It's been explained a few times, I think, to both Mrs. Bilby and her husband and the realtor. And it just has, of course, it's getting cold now, and things always, the process is not a short process. It's hard to, when you're trying to accomplish something, I understand that it's hard to kind of wait for that process to happen. But we did not receive, I don't believe, the vacation request, the official request from the property owner after they bought the property until, I'm not sure the date, but it was a couple weeks ago.
Does the
Yeah,
vacation
because we
request
didn't know
come
of
to
the
your
paper to
office?
begin with.
Pardon me?
Does the vacation request come to your
On
office?
rural roads, it does.
Okay, so it comes to the clerk.
On rural roads, it does. On platted roads, it's a process that goes through planning and zoning. And so we've all been working together. And I actually provided a legal description for them to utilize for their petition and gave them the paperwork. And it was, I think I'm not sure what date it was actually submitted. So anyway, the process is.
I guess my whole confusion on this thing right here is I'm very disappointed that you have a property owner here who's trying to buy a property and she didn't get all the facts ahead of time.
Right.
I mean, that is just to me unbelievable. You know, when you try to buy a property or something and then you buy the property and then all of a sudden all these baskets of problems are thrown in their face. I mean, that's terrible.
A lot of
All
this
that
was
stuff should
discussed.
have been laid out.
A lot of this was discussed prior to the purchase. I personally explained it to Ms. Bilby on the phone about the process before they purchased the property, and I explained to her and to her realtor who came and spoke to me that what the process was, and that it would not be fast, and that it would have to go through that process, and then that the county would still have to decide. I mean, it may not even be approved. It's a request, it's not a guarantee, and I did explain that. And I'm sure Sharon and her staff explained it as well.
Well, Sharon's here, she can speak for herself, I'm sure.
So, but
that process
this was
explained
disclosed.
before.
Go ahead.
They hadn't purchased
No,
the
but
property
it
at
needs
the
to get
time.
started right away. The
But I mean, it was
application-
disclosed to you by the representative real estate agent that there was that county easement out there.
Yeah, you can see it, it's fenced off.
It's on the plat.
You can see that big old circle right. But then all the other easements, no, they're not on that map at all. You got this, some guy built a pond out there, Jeannie said it was her dad that built the pond. It's a ditch that runs down. The ditch has probably been there for 100,000 of years. And then he puts his pond out here. Well, it used to catch water, but the Collins can't take care of it, so all these trees grow up, and that leaches the pond out, and it's no good no more. It's just a slurry mud hole. We're not gonna keep that pond. We don't want a pond out there on our property. If it was a creek, yeah, but it's not running. I don't want my horse in the muck and get stuck in the muck. And you know, Frances was over there, my south neighbor, and she said, you know, the water don't run by my house anymore. I said, well, they built the pond to catch the water, but you know what? All the water goes down underground. There's big holes down there between you and our fence, and it goes down under and goes past your house like that.
So what other recourse do you have at this point in time?
Well, our contract of our rental, and this is, I started this a long time ago, somebody didn't slap the application right there to get this started, it's been on the back burner here, you know, so it should have been done by now, by the end of October, the end of our contract rental lease at Abilene, okay? Brought my kids down to the land we bought, okay? Wanna put shelter up for them, and then the home site, but that turnaround's gotta get off of there to build a home site. See, it should have never been represented as a build site for residential, being that small of an area. It's impossible, you're gonna shove it in your ditch, and no, you can't do nothing in that ditch, that's our easement.
The county was not the entity that told her that was a buildable lot, so I don't know where that information is coming from.
Well,
We
here
were
it represents for
discussing
sale.
a street vacation on the basis that she was talking about building a home.
So you couldn't build a house on it anyway.
Not as it sits, there's not enough space.
Did she
You just
know
don't
that?
meet
Did
the
you tell her
setbacks.
that? That she
Yes.
could not build a home on that property?
No.
I told her that without the vacation, she probably wouldn't meet setbacks.
She did not. I swear you did not tell me that.
Well,
You already didn't talk to me, babe. You called me the other day because you said your assistant was told I needed to call you. I've called you several times and you don't return the call. I know you had tragic in your life, so does other people, but your job must go on. Somebody needs to fill in that position when she's gone, if she's gone like 2 weeks at a time. Because we assumed with this petition that we didn't know we had to hurry up, and we thought it was hurrying up and getting done by all these different departments. We just signed it, you know, how long is this gonna take? She's only called me one time, and I've called her for her several times, and I've been in that office, can't talk to her, you know.
So I'm not sure what direction we need to move from here. I mean, I guess
Well, I
we'll
mean, we have-
continue to do the street vacation if that's what is being requested. We can follow through with that petition and see where that goes. There, nothing is guaranteed. It's not a
Right, I
right
mean,
to have a
it's
street
a
vacation.
process that has to be gone through. I mean, our county is zoned,
Right.
so we really don't have any way around that. I mean, it has to come from planning and zoning to us. We can't just say, go ahead and do this. We just
Yeah,
can't
if
do
she's
that.
saying it's too small to put a house on anyway, then yeah, I'm gonna march over to Roger and Hearing and say, you know, you represented this property as a buildable residential home site. You knew we had the intention of putting a home on there, but I got animal kids, my animals come first, they're gonna have a shelter out there. And we own that land now. There's going to be a portable shelter, you tell me what you're gonna do to me. Cause I've got to have them shelter, and your snide remarks about, oh, it's too bad your horse.
No, then we're not, don't go there, ma'am.
Well, I
But
try
please
not to.
don't go there. We're not
but she
going
needs
there.
to be honest.
Okay, but we're not going there. I mean, this is a discussion, we've got processes that have to be done. If it was misrepresented to you, then your recourse is against the title insurance company and a real
Correct.
estate. Now, I feel sorry for you with that horse. I mean, you might have to find some lodging for him and someone will take him in or something. You know, and I have empathy for you for that, but, you know, we can't go outside the process.
It's a portable building. It's gonna be gone as soon as he gives us our money back, the title insurance company. Now, in the meantime, you're letting the horse stand out in the bitter cold. This horse is an old horse. He's been abused in several counties.
Sharon, what's in the zoning about portable sheds? Because the other sheds that were built out there inappropriately were not portable. Portable now is another subject.
Portable means that it's on axles
I
and
understand that, but I'm
ready.
just saying, what does the zoning
It's
say
not
about
axles.
that?
It's not on axles,
So
sweetheart.
even a portable shed would need to be permitted. If it's sitting on the ground, it's not portable. If it's sitting on skids, it's not portable. Anything that is sitting and not movable at any moment is not, it still has to be permitted. So unless it's on axles or can be road ready at the drop of a hat, it still needs to be permitted. Otherwise, we'd have little portable sheds sitting all over the county and not permitted.
I didn't know if there was any provision in the zoning for portable, this was my question.
So if it has wheels, then she can move it, then she could put one out there?
That's what I kinda was asking, if there was
I mean,
anything,
is
but she
that a
said
way
there's
to just
nothing in the
kinda help?
regulations for that.
Yeah, is that kind of a way to help the discussion if it was on skids and it was portable and easily to take it off? Then that way she could get shelter for her horse until the rest of the,
If it's like on a trailer or something like that, if it could be pulled off of the property and road ready, then it's not something that I would permit. It's not
cause she wouldn't have to,
required,
yeah.
a permit wouldn't be required for that.
So it would have to be at least on skids?
No, not on skids.
It would have to
on
have an axle?
road ready, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any ranchers, farmers in here?
Yep.
That have, okay. The guy that built the thing, he's gonna put it on a trailer and bring it to us. He's gonna pull it off the trailer, it's gonna sit on the ground. If I put wheels on that, that thing's gonna flip over backwards and kill the horse, and who am I gonna sue there?
All I
You know,
know is
I
that
concur with you
we're
all.
zoned,
Okay,
we have
just-
regulations.
Sharon, go ahead, please.
All I know is that I was hired to enforce the zoning regulations.
Right.
We have current zoning regulations that are in effect, Marion County is zoned. If you wanna do something other than that, that's something that I can't approve administratively.
Right.
So I guess that would be up to the commissioners to approve something like that.
You know, then I wouldn't recommend that you go out there and dump a shed without having wheels under.
Did you call any of the commissioners at any time while this process was
Yeah,
going
I've
on?
talked to
I know
them.
you talked to me about a property that you were gonna buy in Lincolnville, and I checked that out for you. I think it was Lincolnville, or was it Lost Springs? I can't remember.
Lincoln.
Okay, well, I checked it out for you and told you that, you know, it probably would not fly there because
Yeah.
of their regulations and stuff. So when I tried to be upfront.
Not about the
honest.
building, just about having horses.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so, yeah, okay, so I was trying to, yeah, I want to make sure I gave you the correct information. Yeah, okay, and so you talked to Mr. Becker then also?
Yeah.
Yeah, all three of them.
And you know,
Oh, and even that
I
one,
didn't
okay.
know if that would be something that would qualify for some type of a temporary variance of some kind. You know, I don't know. I mean, that was just something that came to my mind, and
And did he tell you he could get a variance or maybe or not?
Yeah, but he couldn't do her job, she would have to take action. Sometimes situations just arise, like this. Have compassion for the animal, Sharon.
I could have compassion for everybody in the county
Sure.
and then I would get fired because I'm not
Right.
doing my job.
Well, what, I mean,
But can they do a temporary variance like Mr. Becker said?
So
Like 120-day temporary variance. and then-
there
I'm
are,
talking
there
about
are
a short-term
situations where a
type.
temporary structure can be permitted.
Until like the December whatever you guys said, Tina, you guys said for the next meeting, and then it will be decided on, right?
That's something that we could look into. My fear is that if the street vacation is not approved, then what? Then we have to go through an action to have them remove that structure.
that's true. That's true. I mean, this street vacation actually really needs to be completed.
right, we wouldn't even think of building a house out there until you sign off on all the easements, even the ditch. We're not gonna own the property and you say, we got the right of way to this ditch out there, and told us that you've never been out there, you don't mow that turnaround, you don't do nothing out there, so why are they claiming that? Cause we can bring them back to the Tollins.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I
you
guess
know-
there was a reason at one time.
Yeah, it's
It
a
was there.
turnaround. Otherwise, it would be just a dead end. Dead
So-
end road signs would have to go
I mean,
up.
I would hate to see you get a temporary variance and then planning and zoning says we don't wanna give up that turnaround, and you gotta move an animal out in 24 hours.
Yeah, we're not going down that road now. I'm headed down to Roger right now and saying, you know, this isn't working for us. Nobody's complying in this, but we need shelter for our horse now. And that trailer, or whatever you wanna call it, shed, whatever. It's a 12-foot deep by 36 feet long, cause I got a little tack room in the middle. And then I got the dog in a kennel on one side and the horse on the other side. Okay, it's gonna be gone. We're gonna hook on that, pull it on the trailer again, and go down the road. He knows what I'm talking about. They
Well,
sell a lot of them.
I don't know if it'd be feasible to try to find some temporary housing for the animal until we can get through this vacation.
We're trying to get moved down here. There's hardly any rentals in this town, and it's
Well, I'm
hard
not
to
talking
find.
about that, I'm talking about somebody taking care of the animal for
I'm
me.
gonna take care of my own horse. He's in my yard all the time.
Yeah.
How about if we find somebody that has a piece of land or something that you can put your shed on temporarily till you get all this worked out? I mean, I know several farmers and ranchers that maybe somebody would allow you to put the shed in that area for
As long as they
now.
don't stake claim to it, cause you know how some
Well,
people.
no, I only deal with reputable, honest people. I stay away from the rest.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure I would never put you in that position. But I'm just offering that. I do know
Right.
several
I
farmers and
appreciate that.
ranchers who have land, and maybe we can find you a piece of property that you can put your shed on. I would need at least a day or two to make phone calls and call some people.
There's quite a few people
And
around
see
the
if we
county
can't work
that
something
have,
out until you get
have horses,
this
and
cleaned
I'm
up.
sure that, you know, someone could,
I know that's not an easy thing to do, because I own a horse.
Well, you
and-
don't put an older horse with horses that are shod or horses that are frisky and like that. And keep in mind, this horse don't have his teeth anymore because they're knocked out in Pratt County. Okay, so
Well,
he ain't gonna bite anybody back, he can't.
No. Well, that's good. 'cause
Horses play that
fights
way,
are
though.
horrible. So, would that work for you if we do that right now? 'Cause
Whatever.
Right now, it's kind of a real
We're in a
mess.
rental at Marion, and it's been up for contract for 2 years, and they say, you're all lucky charm, babe, it just sold. So now we gotta be out of our rental again by December 13th. Okay, so we're trying to get down here, but now that this lot's gone, you don't have anything down here for sale. So I guess we're not moving this way.
How about if we work that out for the horse right now, make sure the horse is taken care of?
I
Is that
appreciate it,
okay?
and I'm gonna be feeding this horse, and the dog is out there too, so, see, I got a dog, he's out there, I gotta move these guys together, they're buddies, they're my family.
okay, so
I
you're not just
understand.
talking about a horse, you're talking about a horse.
A
and
wild dog, I have a wild dog.
A wild.
I'm a registered American Indian, I go and parade, I know I don't look like it, blonde, blue-eyed, I got my grandpa's blood, white side, immigrant.
Was it a
Okay?
wolf dog?
It's a dingo, that all these cow dogs come out of.
You know, that throws a little, that's another issue.
That's,
there,
that's
too.
right, that's why it'd just be easy, just let us put the temporary thing out there. We're gonna be gone as soon as Roger pulls through to give us our land money back so we can go elsewhere to buy land.
Well, I'm not gonna overstep planning and zoning.
Well, then I'll put up panels and put a tarp on it. Farmers, can you help me out here?
But if on a temporary easement, if then Roger says, okay, then we're gonna rescind the sale or whatever, then she can load the shed back up and see, you know what I mean, like then you can be out.
She can see it.
I mean, that's the only option I see is some type of a temporary easement. I mean, that'd be short term.
Right.
And you could do it just until that day of the planning and zoning, that she could be out here earlier than that.
And there's adequate,
yeah.
there's
As soon as
adequate
we-
fences out there, and you've got a dog that's not gonna cause a problem, and, cause you're in a residential area.
Yeah, and he loves people. It's the best dog we've ever had. We had a lot of dogs growing up on ranches, a lot of dogs. He's the most, you can pull that dog around by his hind legs, he knows, sit down, shake with both paws, roll over, jump.
All right, we've heard enough.
So, I'll be in contact with you after the meeting is over and stuff and see if I can't help you find a place to put your
But
shed in.
you'd still have to have a meeting of the board to grant even a temporary variance.
But they don't
Can you
provide
just do that?
variances.
It depends on what we're talking about. If you're talking about a temporary structure for a couple of months, that's something that could be approved administratively. It would still have to meet the setbacks, so it would depend on whether the setbacks can be met or not. Now, as far as like, a variance for that road right of way,
No, or would it be for the structure?
for the structure to be,
Just for her to put it on there for, till you.
The way the land exists right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be on that circle thing. It's not even gonna be on our land, it's gonna be parked out there on the circle drive.
So Sharon, you're
I
saying that
can't
you
do that.
can,
I
you're saying
don't
have the
administratively you can do
authority
that?
I don't have the authority.
With that easement, until it's vacated, until that turnaround's vacated, I just don't see that, I think our hands are tied on that.
Right.
So did then the title company and Harry's misrepresented then?
There's a drainage easement that runs through that whole property that I don't know that the
It wasn't
property
shown.
owners were aware
It's
of.
just
So
a
that's
drone picture of
not
that.
anything that the county really had anything to do with.
No, that
It's-
was,
We're the ones that found it after they.
the title insurance missed it evidently.
Well, we were just trying to work it out here. we want to be citizens of your county, but it's like, no, you're not. And that's okay, you've lost over 1,000 people within, what, 10 years or something? You're gonna keep shrinking. You should welcome people when they wanna live here, pay your taxes here. You should welcome people and try to help them out.
But we also have to have a process to where
That's correct. But
the
when we
zoning,
first
the zoning is
addressed this
taken care
issue,
of.
it should have been done by the end of this month.
Okay, well, I think you're gonna have to work it out with the title insurance company.
That's where I'm headed right
Try to
now.
find some temporary housing for your animals.
I am. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Janine is back with us, so we'll go ahead and finish up the regular agenda then.
Okay.
Janine?
Mine's just facts and figures, so I think you have the quarterly report. The month of October is historically the month that we have least funds on hand in Marion County, and that's just because we've paid out all the tax dollars and we haven't started collecting for the new year, so. Right now, I'm in the process of running the abstract balancing reports, and I'd hope to have the delinquency factors for you to look at. Don't have them yet, so.
I don't have any questions on this at all, Janine, but I do have a question about, I think it was last week or the week prior.
On the personal property?
Yes, on personal property that was 20 years delinquent and we wrote it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just wondering, isn't there a process or something that we can do? I know after 3 years or so on real estate, we could put it up for sheriff's sale. But on those personal, isn't there something that we can do so that we don't let the people be 20 years delinquent? Can we turn it over to a collection agency? Can we do, I mean, because if nothing else, it puts a big ding on their credit.
Well, what happens is they get a warrant, it's filed with a court. Of course, we go through, we try to collect it, the sheriff tries to collect it. Then we turn it into a warrant that's filed with the clerk of court. We put it on the VIP system, on the movers system. You can't renew your vehicle till your taxes are paid. If it's oil and gas, we contact the purchaser of the oil and gas and try to get the funds that way. So you gotta remember that personal property is personal. It's on the person, not the property. So if the property sells and they come in to put it on the appraiser's rendition or something, return it, they get a new number. So those old taxes are just out there with the person. So we try all the ways we can to stop the person, make them pay. You can use a collection agency, but they used to charge half of what the taxes are. Now I think they add that half of what the taxes are onto the fee that they collect from the individual. So, if you can't afford $50, you probably can't afford $75.
Well, I know, and even if they did charge 50% of taxes, personally, I'd rather receive 50% and have it on their credit.
Well,
than
it's
just
already on their credit.
Take a whole off this way, because we wrote it off.
But it's already on their credit.
It's on their credit.
Because when people do searches of the court records, including in those our personal property tax warrants.
So if they were applying for a credit card, that would show up.
It should.
Should, okay.
So,
And after 20 years, it's awful hard to track down someone,
Yes.
if they're even still living.
yes, and I think what was the highest one, $41 or something like that.
See, I can't believe
Small
people can't
amount.
afford just to pay $41.
Well-
I bet they can afford their cigarettes. or a bottle of booze, you know, but they're not gonna pay that $41 for that. I just have no compassion for that at all. I do the horse, but not for that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and if you notice, most of these were oil and gas, if you look back at the list. And like I say, we're trying to collect through the purchaser, but a lot of these, after 20 years, sometimes those wells are no longer producing saleable amounts, so the people aren't getting funds, so we aren't getting funds either, so. It's just, personal property
It's
is.
a sad deal.
Yes.
Even on the current personal property tax, a lot of it's oil and gas, it seems like.
So it's too bad it can't be accumulative. It's too bad that each year you can't add the previous to it or whatever.
Well, if it stays in the same owner, the same property, the same tax ID,
It would be.
it does.
Mhm.
So, you know, if it's same, yes, it accumulates. And sometimes we're lucky enough to
And those are all
collect it all.
guided by laws, right? So you can't just say
Yeah.
the person and forget all those other things. Just the person.
It's just the person, yes.
Okay, so if it's just a person and you do away with all that other stuff, and you can attach that to it then, or you can't?
What are you asking me?
Well, if there's a person who has multiple, okay, he didn't pay his taxes for 5 years or whatever, now he comes in and buys something else, you can't tack that onto that?
No, but if he buys a new vehicle, yes.
Then you can.
And if he buys a new vehicle anywhere in the state of Kansas, yes.
How about a used vehicle?
Well, you know,
A vehicle.
A vehicle.
Needs a tag.
needs a tag, yes.
Okay.
So that's one thing we've worked out, all the treasures.
So then I assume these people that we wrote them off for 20 years, they have not bought anything for 20 years?
Yes.
That's why I said
Well, that's good.
some of
At
them
least
are
they're gone.
deceased.
Well, I'm thinking a lot of them probably are.
It's just sad, I just get very upset when people don't pay their
They
taxes.
used to do
What would you say?
it
It would be a perfect world.
tax credit, and it's for businesses, and then it would, so the businesses would put forward, $1,000, and then they get $1,075 off their taxes.
Right.
Is there any kind of programs like that, just so you can clean up your books?
Okay, start again.
Basically, it's like buying debt, but it gives you a tax incentive to do so.
I don't think we have that in the state of Kansas.
I know that.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
operating as a credit recovery type company that gets a tax credit for taking that stuff off of your roll.
The state actually has it, but not local governments.
Didn't know. Thought I'd just throw it out. I mean,
You know, like the set-off
sometimes you think outside
program
the box.
is set up for individuals, businesses, and some offices where they collect social security numbers like the ambulance health can use that. And it's purposely set up so county treasurers can't use it. Because we actually talked to one of the people that had set off trying to work that in.
Jenny, on the producing wells, could you go back against the producer himself? As opposed to the landowner at that point? Because it's.
We don't go against the landowner.
It's the oil or the gas.
We try to contact the producer and see who the purchaser is. Because the purchaser is the one that has the funds to distribute. So we try to contact the purchaser, stay the funds being paid out, and collect taxes that way. It's a slow process, and sometimes we get $8 every year or something like that, but $8 is more than none, so.
You
Was
got
it
a
a-
tough job, girl.
Tina does a good job of following through on it.
She's talking about Tina in her office. They have a Tina. She's not
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
you.
I knew that.
Like how many rolls do you
I'm
take
just
on?
clearing that up for you all. No.
You don't want that job?
No, thank you.
How's the competitive bid process working?
So far, everybody's been hitting the state rate, or I call the funds, so. I might have one this month that'll go on for bids.
I mean, it's made a difference.
It's
in
made
our
a lot of
in the
difference.
Monthly interest that we're collecting.
It's made a
Sure.
lot of difference.
That's good. Any other questions? All right.
No, I have none. I have none.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you could solve the problem of personal property, I would be so thrilled.
Yeah. Thank you, Janine. Okay, we went back to the regular agenda, so if anyone else, public comment?
Can I have a 3-minute public comment? No, I'm kidding.
You sure you don't want a half hour?
Well, that was what I meant by 3 minutes.
Anyone else, sir? State your name, please.
I thought I'd better stand up and use my loud voice so everybody could hear me. Good morning to start with, and good morning to Mr. Dalkey who's come to join the party in here. My name is Dwayne Bear. I live rural Antelope. That should bring a smile to somebody.
City of Antelope.
I find that my knowledge, skill, and experience is not required on the Planning and Zoning Board of Marion County. As such, I respectfully submit my resignation effective immediately from the Planning and Zoning Board of Marion County, Kansas. I intend to seek avenues to serve the citizens in different capacities. And I'll give each of you a copy in blue ink.
Dwayne, I really appreciate your service. And the integrity and honesty that you have displayed with your service.
Thank you for service, Dwayne.
I'm gonna miss you. You've done an awesome job.
And for the press,
I
your own copy. Would you like a copy back here
Oh,
also?
I'm a press person, so yes.
Well, I brought two, just.
Oh, thanks,
Just for them.
I'll miss you. I miss you at those
There you
planning
go.
meetings. I didn't hear.
And I think you've done an awesome job.
Respectfully submitted, and we thank you for your service.
Both of them, thank you.
Don't accept, please.
What?
Don't accept.
Randy, join.
I know.
Did you guys get a chance to talk about the zoning board yet today?
Yes.
Don't accept it.
Yeah.
Well, you did that for EMS.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I'll say something. It really is good to have a few good people like Dwayne in Marion County. There's so few of them left. So few. I mean, I hate to say that, but I mean what I say. I've lived here my whole life. My dad did work in a lot of other counties, but somebody like Dwayne in Marion County is very, very hard to find. I think you should ask him to reconsider his resignation.
I have asked, I have begged, but he's had it.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Just look around us. I'm sorry. I guess that's all I got to say, except I'm very disappointed. Not at any one individual, but very disappointed in Marion County in general.
Okay. Anyone else?
Me too.
We're running out of people, so. Okay. that's it, that's the final thing on the agenda. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Diane.